This is Vidya from What's Your Home Story, and today, as you might have guessed, we're going to talk about my 10 favorite perennials for shade. So these are plants that I grow in my garden and have had great success with, actually, except for one which I ended up killing, but that's totally on me, my bad. But again, like I said, these are great for shade and they establish very well in the garden. I will be talking about my experiences with each of these plants, and I will list out a slide with their growing conditions and hardiness zones and everything. Before we get into the list, I just want to make note of a few things. In this list, I am concentrating on plants that have beautiful blooms. So typical shade garden recommendations like ferns are not included in the list. Another big item that's missing are hydrangeas. Hydrangeas, there are many varieties. Some like full shade, some like part shade, some can actually tolerate quite a bit of sun. I think hydrangeas deserve a post or video of their own. I'll be doing that later on. So are we ready to go ahead? 10 best perennials for shade. Number one, hellebore. So hellebore, actually I discovered pretty recently, maybe a couple of years back, and I've already added 3 different types to my collection. Comes in many forms, colors, and also in multi-layered, single-layered. I mean, they are very, very beautiful flowers. The best part of hellebores is that they bloom late winter into early spring. Actually, this is March, I think 22nd today, and they are blooming right now in our garden. And one thing that I noticed about hellebore is that they can actually get expensive. To get a deal on hellebores, I have found 2 times that are best in the year. One is early on in the year in winter. Again, at Wegmans or Trader Joe's, you can get these at a pretty low rate. Another time to get great deals on hellebores is end of season. I got my confetti cake, this beautiful flower, for I think around $15 end of season. Usually they are around 35 to 40. This multi-layer variety with all these patterns on the flowers. So that's hellebore for you. As you can see, they need rich organic soil and are deer resistant. Number 2 on the list is rhododendron. So rhododendron, I think it's more common up north in Virginia. I don't see them that often. So rhododendrons are a shrub and they can get pretty large, but the newer varieties are pretty much more small and can work for small spaces. I grew this rhododendron, which is tagged as Rabat. I think that's how you pronounce it. But again, the tag showed a beautiful bright red flower. As you can see, definitely mislabeled. This is one of the smaller varieties that stays contained and works for a smaller garden. So as you can see, they're hardy to zones 4 to 8, and they prefer acidic soil. They're deer resistant. Number 3, azaleas. So azaleas are very similar to rhododendron. Actually, they're the same genus. I think all azaleas are rhododendrons, but it's not the other way around. The biggest difference between azalea and rhododendron is that azaleas are deciduous and rhododendrons are stay evergreen. Also, the leaf is different. Azaleas have smaller, more pliable leaves, and like I said, rhodies, as they're lovingly called by gardeners, have big, leathery, dark green, thick leaves. Azaleas usually bloom in springtime, but there is a type of azalea called Angkor azaleas. That's what I have, these white. So Angkor azaleas bloom both in spring and in late summer to early fall. But I think my Angkor azaleas, I think I ended up with Angkor lemon. So while everybody's azaleas are blooming in spring, I get literally 3 blooms. That's what I get in spring. But then come September, they are covered in blooms, and so they make up for it. So I'm okay with it. So that's azaleas for you. As you can see, they are deciduous shrub and are hardy to zone 6 through 9. Number 4 on the list, bleeding heart. So this is the plant that I killed. So in my defense, this was pretty early on in my gardening career when I never paid much attention to what the plant tag says, or the plant's requirements for sun or soil. So this is a 2 shade loving perennial, and I ended up planting it in full sun. So, naturally, it was bound to die. But again, this is a beautiful flower, and the leaves are also very pretty. It's an old-fashioned favorite, and I've heard many friends say that their grandmas used to grow it in their garden. The flowers are pretty heart-shaped, and they come in, I think, pink and white. Maybe there are newer colors in the newer varieties. They are deer resistant and blooms in spring and loves rich organic soil. They hardy to zone 3 to 9. Number 5, Columbine. So Columbine is again a cottage garden favorite, and they self-seed like crazy. So, if you are wary of things self-seeding, just a heads up. The one that I grow, this is actually one of the columbines that I grow, is called the Fire Lantern Columbine, and it does look like one of those Chinese lanterns. One other thing that I noticed about columbines is that they are great for winter sowing. Literally every seed that I've winter sown has germinated, and I've planted them in the garden. Um, but as you know, with winter sowing, you have to wait. Winter sowing perennials, you have to wait till the second year to see the blooms. So I'm super excited this year. There are so many that are going to bloom. Keeping my fingers crossed. So they are deer resistant and they like part shade, um, but can tolerate full sun in cold climates. Definitely in zone 6B for us, it's a part shade plant. Hardy to zone 3 to 9, and they are pretty drought tolerant as well. Next on the list is Brunnera. Again, this is one of those plants that I discovered pretty late. Actually, I planted mine last year, and I have to say this is by far my most favorite plant in the shade garden. They have these tiny blue, the perfect blue. It's a light. I mean, as you can see here. I mean, the flowers almost look like the forget-me-not flowers, and I think the another common name for Brunnera is false forget-me-not. And the leaves, oh my god, the variety that I grow is called Jack Frost. They have these heart-shaped leaves with the silvery marble crackle-like effect on the leaves. Again, they grew so big in that one single season that I've had, and I see them popping out right now from the ground. Again, this is what, late March, and they bloom in mid to late spring. Once the bloom died off, the foliage itself is like so bright and cheery in the shade garden. So definitely a must-have plant, if you ask me. Hardy to zone 3 to 8, deer resistant again, loves full to part shade. Number 7 on the list is Astilbe, again an old-fashioned garden favorite. I think the most popular colors are pink, lavender, and white. The one that I grow has chocolate colored leaves, almost like dark brown, as you can see, and white spires. I lost a tag for it. I think it's most likely Astilbe Cappuccino or Astilbe Shogun, not sure. That's the closest I could, match it to. They are deer resistant and spring blooming. They love full to pot shade and are hardy to zone 3 to 8. Number 8 on the list is Heucherella. Heucherella is a hybrid between Heuchera and Tiorella. Both of these plants are shade-loving perennials as well. I didn't include them in the list because Heucherella has, since it's a hybrid, has the benefits of both of its parents. So it has the beautiful foliage from Heuchera and the foamy, lovely flowers from the Tiorella. The variety that I grow is called Heucherella Ice Pie, and it has these um, apple green, almost like fluorescent green foliage with the I think more of a maroon centers, brownish maroon centers. They bloom late spring to early summer, hardy to zone 4 through 9, and they are deer resistant. Number 9 on the list is hosta. If you ask me, hostas do deserve their own video or post because there are so many different varieties. I mean, literally, there is a hosta for each and every person's, to suit each and every person's taste. There are like miniature hostas, there are like medium-sized hostas, there are giant hostas, there are variegated ones, there are, the leaf shapes different so widely. There are these heart-shaped leaves, there are ones that look like mouse ears, there are ones with elongated leaves. I think I grow about 7 to 8 varieties in my garden. The only problem with hosta is that the deers love them as much as we gardeners do. Also slugs, yeah. So if you have deer or slug problem in your garden, please be aware that you would need to protect your hostas from those two. I have a couple of hostas in my front yard, which is not fenced in, and we do have a deer and bunny problem there. I use a deer repellent on them, so hopefully so far they've been good. So the last plant on my list is the hardy ground orchid. So this one I have a very personal and nostalgic connection to. So I grew up in India in a completely tropical climate. And one of my early memories of the neighborhood that I grew up was this house at the far end of the street, which had this beautiful ground orchid hedge in front. And the flowers were like light lavender, and I mean, because it was the tropics, they do get pretty tall, like almost waist high. And I mean, it was a sight to behold, frankly, that hedge of the ground orchids. I mean, I don't remember the people who lived in that house, but I do remember the hedge very, very vividly. But so just imagine my surprise when I learned that I could actually grow them in ground here. You know, these are not the same variety, but these are the hardy Chinese orchids, and they come in many colors. The ones that I have are like a hot pink color. Again, one of my friends gave me a division of hers, and I added a couple more last year. They're hardy to zone 5 through 9, and they bloom in the late spring or early summer. They are deer resistant, and they prefer part shade, you know, where they get few hours of morning sun. So that wraps up my list of top 10 perennials for shade. If you have any favorites that I might have missed, please do comment below. It's always fun to learn about new plants and to try to grow them, you know. So please do comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, especially click the bell icon so you'll be notified when I add new videos. So happy gardening, folks!